superficially keep diving into concrete. So bittersweet, huh? Keep losing sleep while driving in the backseat. What's left of me? Drowning in my fears, it's like an ocean. Negativity is getting closer. Hard to keep the heat when it gets colder, you know. Sometimes everything just gets hard. Sometimes everything just gets harder. Feeling like I'm missing some parts. Days just keep on getting much darker. Even when I'm down in the lower, I remember what you were saying. Sometimes all you need is a spark. Maybe just a better kind of bitter. Lose gravity, I'm swimming in the quicksand. Up to my knees. Keep losing sleep, I'm manic dream at midnight. So hard to please. Drowning in my fears, it's like an ocean. Negativity is getting closer. Hard to keep the heat when it gets colder, you know. Sometimes everything just gets hard. Sometimes everything just gets harder. Feeling like I'm missing some parts. Days just keep on getting much darker. Even when I'm down in the lower, I remember what you were saying. Sometimes all you need is a spark. Maybe just a better kind of bitter. Think about the stuff we play. How I'd rather do that instead. I keep screaming out loud from the top of my lungs, baby. Ooh, think about the stuff we play. How I'd rather do that instead. I keep screaming out loud from the top of my lungs, baby. Ooh, think about the stuff we play. How I'd rather do that instead. I keep screaming out loud from the top of my lungs, baby.
This is too smooth. I honestly didn't even really want to say anything on this, but it's what the people want. That's what I came here for. So we're gonna get into it. I like my coffee black. Wife too, don't turn this to no controversy. It's my boo. I can make $250,000 off a haiku, and I can make another quarter off it times two. If it's money on the table, I'll be on it like Bobby or Epic. You peep the aesthetic, it's hard to forget it. I hear you talking, but you're hardly right. I'm the voice of your prototype. Summertime and then why? Summertime and then why? Drop tops out. Summertime and then why? Fits right. Summertime and then why? Summertime and then why? I'm talking 6 a.m. tea times. 18 with the mayor talking land banks. I waited for it, gotta get mine. Snack a seat up at the table if my man came. Heading to a meeting, we're familiar with no briefcase. Just my mind in a free state. I got a plan through a vision, but it takes time. I'ma make mine. Summertime and then why? Yeah. Summertime and then why? Yeah. You know the drill by now. Summertime and then why? Get everything together, get the squad together, get the gang together. Summertime and then why? Summertime and then why? Started in the back office, now I run the front. Call the shots, make the deals, know the deal, know what's up. Too much for the books, then I put it in a tuck. Too much for the tuck, then I give it to my love. Once I make $1 million, man, $1 million won't be enough. Watch you fake the struggle while I get it off the hush. Now it's jet blue miles, Rolex dials, frowns turn to smiles. Summertime and then wild. Now it's come to an end. Summertime and then wild, and it falls upon us. I want you to bring that summertime and then wild, and run that thing back. Yeah, until next year. Summertime and then wild, yeah, and wild. Summertime and then wild, yeah. Be gone.
Yo, 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 yo. What's up, YouTube? What's going on, Facebook land? I hope y'all feeling all right tonight because I'm feeling pretty good. Let me do something real quick here. I am a little bit behind today, but it's all right. We're going to cook anyway. We are going to cook anyway. Now, what I've done was I put that, put the link in the chat. And now what I'm about to do is I am going to pin the link to the top of the chat. That's what we're going to do. And then we're going to go ahead and get started. Let me see. Shout out to my man, Orange Pill. The one, the only Orange Pill nurse is in the house. Thank you so much for coming, brother. I had to reschedule. I had to reschedule yesterday's live stream simply because your boy was not feeling well. Your boy came down with a little bit of a migraine. But there it is. It's pinned to the top. Yo, 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 yo. It's your boy, JD, a.k.a. Mr. December. Yeah, let me tighten up just a little bit. I told you your boy was running a little behind today. But it's okay. It's your boy, JD, a.k.a. Mr. December, and we are back. And your boy's looking a little rough because I'm trying to grow the facial hair out. Or back out, however you want to look at it. Anyway, we getting into it tonight, y'all. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining us. What are we talking about tonight? This is part 2 of the review of the conversation that I had over with Mr. Themis over there on Themis and Thoth. I think I'm saying that right. I hope I'm saying that right. I want to put some respect on his name. So, that's what we're talking about tonight, y'all. But before we do that, I want to give a huge shout out to all of my supporters, all of my day one supporters. And even if you're not a day one supporter, thank you so much for joining us on tonight. People like Fishing Spot Reviewer that's in the chat. People like Eugene Steele, people like Cool Cat, people like my newfound brother Orange Pill. Thank you so much. And last but not least, my beautiful wife, the lovely Gabrielle White Caudle, is in the building too. So I like what's going on. So here we go. I want to go ahead and bring up my man Orange Pill, and we're going to give just a little bit of a recap. Orange Pill,
what up? What up?
Man,
you the man.
Brother, I am feeling much better than I did
yesterday. I'm glad you are.
I don't look better than I did yesterday, but I feel better than yesterday. You understand?
That's a pep in your step, huh?
Yes, sir. I got a little pep in my step, man, because we're blessed over here, man, and we're trying to do some good stuff. We're trying to get our black families back together. You understand? And I see you over there with your notes, man, from the stream still.
Oh,
and
my
man,
goodness.
we were cooking.
I mean, we were cooking, man. But people got to come and kill the vibe. And they was happy about it too. In the comments you saw.
I went back and looked, man. Oh yeah, he was triggered. We triggered a lot of folks. I'm like, man, how miserable do you have to be, man?
But no, she's fine, but she's good though, because instead of she's trying to trigger folks online, but she's happier. Her husband is gone for the past 10 years, I think she said, but she's happy.
Right.
And she's got a better attitude and better energy, but want to trigger people.
Right.
So,
tell me where they do that at, man. Tell me where they do that at.
Yeah.
And for those that are watching that were not here, I almost forgot something very important to light my candle. But for those that were not here, we were talking about the conversation, and we had some Themis supporters over here, which is absolutely fine. But we were cooking, and I cut this show short because it was a comment that came up from a lady that said that she was glad that her husband had passed and had been gone for 10 years. Man, and my wife and I had a brief discussion about that. Do you know how many people would love to be married right now?
Yeah.
Do you know how many people wish their spouse was still alive, still doing well? Do you know how many people long for that kind of stuff? And she just makes a mockery out of it. I don't like it, and I don't appreciate it. But we might not have too many interruptions today because I believe they're live over there on his channel.
They're live over there talking about men.
Yeah, the stuff that they talk
or
about.
men's, as
right.
they say over there. The men's.
Right.
Little, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. But it's all good though, man. We are back. So last time we came together, Orange Pill, we were running down some of the facts and some of the disingenuous things that he was saying when I came to speak with him over there, and also some of the disingenuous things that you've heard prior to me going over there as well. So I think we were reviewing part of a Kevin Samuels video, and what he said was, since I like Kevin Samuels, or since I listen to Kevin Samuels, then I must think that all black people are ugly.
Yeah. Now the problem, and just to piggyback on your point, is that if you listen to anybody, he's gonna he wanted to tie you down on some point that the person said, not putting what context they said it,
right?
But just saying oh, they said this blanket statement. Do you agree with this? And it's like, wait a minute, why are you holding my foot to the fire on somebody I listen to? Did I say I follow everything that they say? Do I say that I agree with everything they say? But you're trying to hold my foot to the fire and try to get me to either say yes or no. I agree with this statement. It's like, well, if I say no, that means I shouldn't be following them. And who are you to tell me who I can listen to when you have Cynthia G, who as an avid listener and I think she's she's got the wrench by her name and everything. Yeah, so it's like, wait a minute. And she says crazy stuff all the time, let alone the top one. It's like, wait a minute. What she said in context is compared to what Kevin Samuel said, what Lead Attorney said is nothing. But you're trying to hold this man to who he follows. I remember even saying, how do we even start talking about Lead Attorney? You mentioned that you oh, I don't know if you're familiar with Lead Attorney. Then that's when things started to get off the rails with him.
Right.
Because he does not like Lead Attorney.
Why?
Even though he's
I don't
more, experienced and handled divorce. I don't know what kind of lawyer Themis is, but I don't think it's divorce.
Oh, he's an attorney? I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't know that? Oh, that's why he got his whole way of saying questions and stuff like that. He's an attorney. You didn't know that, did you?
No, I didn't know that. I did not know that. That makes sense.
That's why he's able to frame the questions a certain way and all that stuff, and then kind of hit you with somewhat of a gotcha. That's why I told you, it got to a point where, I started to kind of beat him to the punch of what he was trying to do. And he just started, just doing personal attacks. Oh, you're probably not married. Oh, you don't have a house. And it's like, okay, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. And I'm like, and I started just kind of watching him behind, not saying nothing on there, just kind of watching how he had interaction with people like you, Mr. JD. and you come on there in good faith, kind of speaking for the men. He's kind of like what he likes to do, and I don't know if you kind of reflect on this. He likes to make an argument, right?
Right.
Then he kind of switches around, and then you're like, it's a straw man, and then he kind of and then you start arguing his argument.
Right.
Like you start talking about. Remember, we start talking about not just any man, but a good man. And then you kind of got into this thing where you were like talking about, well, I don't advocate for men who abuse and all this stuff. And it's like, wait, why are we not? We're not obviously advocating for, bad men, but why? So why are we drifting off? Like, you made a good point. You were talking about, and if you don't mind me, you said you made a good point. Man, where did I write it down at? Because you basically said, like, it was better for like men to be in the home than not be in the home. I think this had you were talking about like getting government assistance and stuff like that. It was a tough choice for people to make as families.
Right.
And you said it's better for the men to be in the home. The family rather have the men home. And he said not just any man, but a good man.
Right.
It's
right.
like,
yeah.
Who said we wanted bad men? It's like, we're not, obviously that's not the point. So why are we drifting off to like this straw man about a good man and all this stuff? So yeah, he starts, what I've noticed people, he kind of brings up something that's not the point of the conversation, and you drift off into it, and then you're like arguing a point that was never even the main thing that you were trying to address. He gets you off your point to make another point, then you're like stuck in this point, you're just constantly drift away from conversation.
Right.
And you start arguing it. It's like, wait, I wasn't even arguing this.
Right. And it's like, it's definitely a manipulation tactic, and it is designed to muddle your thoughts to where you don't even remember, what you were really arguing when you first started, because it goes so far off the rails. And please forgive me, I was having camera issues earlier, and
I got you.
my battery died. So, but anyway, that's beside the point. But I think that he was a little bit surprised, because I don't, obviously I do have some of the same talking points as some of the people in the red pill or manosphere, which I do not consider myself to be a part of, right? But these are issues that men have been talking about for the longest. I say this all the time. These are conversations that my friends and I used to have when we were like 18, 19 years old. You understand what I'm saying? And that was like almost 20 years ago now, right? So, and I think he was surprised at the fact that I didn't hold some of those red pill beliefs like a lot of other people that he might be trying to pick apart. You understand? I think he was really surprised to get somebody with a balanced perspective, right? But my whole thing about this is, it's not just going to take men, it's going to take men and women. Because if the women start choosing better and start picking better, instead of being a pookie picker or loser chooser, shout out to Mr. Let Go, then more men wouldn't be that. You understand what I'm saying? Because I literally, I don't know if you watch Daily Wrap Up Crew, but I literally heard several women on their podcast say that they would rather have scammers than a dude that's 9 to 5. They'd rather have somebody like Future rather than a Russell Wilson, because Russell Wilson seems like he's boring. Yeah. And then it was a post I saw on Spiritual World, or whatever the name of that page is called, talking about Russell Wilson. What Russell Wilson is lame because he looked like he know what his social security card is, or something like that. Man, just basic stuff, man. And it's like, do y'all really hear y'allself? And then you complain about those same type of men that you're complaining about. You're still dealing with them. Those are the men that you're picking in hopes that they will change. But one of the things that I did not like about this conversation with Themis is the fact that, did you notice that every time I was about to pin him down with a point, that he would start talking over me? It wouldn't let me finish my thought.
Yes, and that's something he does, especially when he has this thing where he starts inviting all his little minions on there, and I start tagging one of them, and then he jumps in, and he's like a cross between, he's trying to be he's trying to be a mediator, but he's trying to, like, he sees they're about to get caught up. He's like, well, we don't need to be talking about that. Let's just move on. Or he'll try to come back at you with some gaslighting. Right. With like, oh, do you think men really? Because you got him on a good point. I got to repeat for the people watching, is that he tried to get you on the whole, like, oh, black men can get food stamps and benefits too now, not just black women. And then you got him, and you was like, only if they have custody of the children. Right. And he was like, oh, right, yeah, right. I was like, yeah, you thought you had him on that one. And then you said, how many black men have custody of their children? And that was a good question. And he said, all right, time to gaslight. He said, do you think black men want custody of their children? Now, what kind of response was that?
Exactly. A disingenuous one. Exactly.
I mean, gaslighting 101. And then you had said, so like I said, he interrupts, interjects, and there was an exchange he had with Dr. Tiasan Johnson on the Amawali Africa channel, where they were going at it because he was wrong about something. He was wrong about what Dr. Tiasan said. Even Amali Africa. Are you familiar with him? I'm sorry.
Who?
Omawali Africa.
No, I'm not familiar with him, but I am familiar with Tiasan Johnson.
Yeah, it was because what happened was they got into it because Dr. Tiasan said something and Themis misquoted him. And then Themis was like, he said, no, Dr. Tiasan was like, no, I actually said this. He said, well, whatever. And then Dr. Tiasan was like, no, like, if you're going to quote me correctly. And then he got it. And then they got into it about that. And then Omar Wali Africa actually made a video later on talking about, Themis, you were wrong and you were being sassy. And then he said, and you got your fans up here talking about, don't be talking to Themis like that. Y'all was being mean to him. And he's like, we're men up here. What are you talking about? We're men.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I ain't heard Themis respond to that video at all.
Wow.
So, and he talked about how he was wrong. He broke it down about, like he said, he did the whole full video. And he said, yeah, this is what Dr. Tiasan said. And this is what you kept saying. He said it. And he said no. And then when he checked you, you start getting sassy.
Yeah.
What you trying to say? Okay, anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll leave that alone. But you know that's the kinds of things that these disingenuous people do. Is once they realize that they're losing the argument, then they're just, like Kevin Samuel said, the shame, the insults, the guilt, and the need to be right. They'll start throwing all of that stuff at you, and then start giving you questions it's not even fair to ask. Not even fair to ask. Oh, do you think all black people are ugly? Come on now.
Yeah. Oh, do you think that, like, why didn't black men just go fight for custody? There's a study, I don't have it on me. There's a study that says that if black men just fight, it goes up 80%. Now, do you honestly believe that just barely any men or black men are just not asking for custody of any kind?
It's not. A lot of men are asking and want custody. They would prefer to have custody of their kids, right? Yeah. But the issue is with a lot of men is that they have attorneys that will fight a case for women pro bono. And you can't get that as a man. You're not. You don't have that option as a man. Attorneys get very, very expensive, right? And a lot of men just don't have the resources to keep paying for attorneys, and
Mm-hmm.
the ladies might be getting the attorney for free, or the man or the husband or whatever might end up having to pay for the ladies' attorney's fees
Yeah.
while they're getting these services for free. So what a lot of men do is just sit back and hang back and say, you know what, it's not worth the fight. I'll max out all of my credit cards, drain all of
Yeah.
my savings, 50-50 or whatever they say. I'm not going to fight it. I just want to be able to see my kids. And that is a fact.
And I can tell you, literally, I just went out to dinner with my friends, and one of them was telling me this story. He's having custody battle with his ex-wife who filed, and he's already $15,000 into the. They're charging $500 an hour, and that's a discount for him. $15,000 already. He said it'd probably be about $25,000 all said and done. And he said, yeah, my wife's probably getting pro bono for hers. And also I was watching, and it's weird how Themis is dead on that. He's right, absolutely right about he's the 20-year veteran divorce attorney is just wrong, flat out wrong. And you in no divorce attorney experience is right. No, he's wrong. And that's based off of what? I don't know what to give you a report of any kind. Oh, he had that 80%. And I sent you something where like a guy was looking into all that. He said, wait a minute, these numbers are kind of like somebody that they was manipulating the numbers when this original study about, oh, if men just file, they get their chances of getting the kid go 60%. You found out those numbers were, and this was a study done in 2005 after it was originally, the study was done in 1989, but the guy came in 2005 and said, wait a minute, these numbers ain't making sense.
Right. So, I saw that.
But yeah, so it's very interesting with the lead attorney just flat out wrong, 20 years experience. And we see that in this case, like they have something called dependent spouse, where basically whoever makes more, and if it's by a significant amount, will be responsible for all fees. It's not, so I don't know what he meant, like, oh, that's not always the case and all this stuff. And y'all got into it about the whole like who's paying and all this stuff. Well, majority of the time men do make more. So they'll be responsible for their $25,000, $500 an hour, and hers, and she can file.
Exactly.
And so most time a woman is most likely going to be the dependent spouse in these cases. If it, like, I'm a BSN RN nurse. My wife's a CNA. If we divorce, I gotta pay all her stuff because I'm making like $90,000 a year. She's making like $40,000.
Right. And see, it's that whole lifestyle thing or whatever. But and my argument was women are filing for divorce at almost 80%.
He didn't want to hear that.
Yeah, didn't want to hear it. And then the fact that most of the reasons behind them filing is irreconcilable differences.
Which could be
so,
anything.
i.e., I'm not happy.
Yeah.
Or I want to do me now. Oh, I spent years being a wife and a mom. Now I'm not happy, so I'm going to leave and take half of your stuff with me. And that was my argument, that sometimes marriage is not in a man's benefit. I encourage marriage, and that's where the whole lead attorney thing came up with. It's not that the lead attorney is against marriage. Yes. He's against marriage without a prenup.
Well, the thing, and that's the point you were trying to make. But it's funny because he kept saying that he said he don't mention get married, but he kept like leaving out the context of what he said. But then later on, he gave the context. He was like, well, he meant during his times and laws don't benefit men. Okay, you gave the context, but you're still like, but he still said it. So he gave the context later on, talking about, oh, well, he said it because men, the laws don't benefit men. But he didn't argue against that though. But he's like, well, he still said it, and you're supposed to be a pastor. But wait a minute, who are you to come at me like this? By the way,
right?
And did I say I agree with everything that the lead attorney said? Why are you holding me to the lead attorney? I like kind of brought him up, and now you're like on this. Oh, well, lead attorney said marriage is bad, and men shouldn't get married. What do you guys say about this? What do you guys say about Cynthia G's comments about black men, black boys? Anything about that? Right. We're gonna do that. Let's do that. And she's an avid listener. She can come up anytime, and you just grateful she's there. But you're gonna hold me to some lead attorney comment that you're not giving context on.
Right. And then when I started to go into the whole Cynthia G thing, they started cutting me off again, because when I asked him if he supported Cynthia G, oh yeah, I don't agree with everything. And then right when I was about to ask him, I think he saw it coming. I was about to ask him, does he agree with aborting all black babies, all black male babies, rather? You know, and then it got, well, what do you think about what she said on the screen? Well, what do you think about this? What do you think about the comment on the screen? I'm like, bro, you're missing the whole
it's intentional
point. Yeah, it's definitely intentional, man. And I'm glad you brought up the thing about the fathers and the divorce, because I got another thing, another exhibit that I want to pull up right now, actually. And this is the title of this says, "Elders explain how the welfare system forced black fathers out of their households." So I want to pull this up right now, because they were trying to suggest that I guess that the men had a choice in this, but let's see through. Go ahead.
Like real quick before you, I do want to just talk about that case that he kind of tried to get you on. Just real quick. Okay,
yeah,
so he talked about that Alabama case.
Yeah.
He said, black women were fighting to get black men in the house. No, that case. So the woman in that case, first of all, her kids actually filed, right? And to get benefits put back on. It wasn't about having the man come in. First of all, that woman, she had 4 kids, right? 3 of them were from a deceased man. 1 was from a man not in the picture. She was messing around with a guy who was already married with 9 kids.
Ooh.
He would come on the weekends and they would mess around, and that's why they cut her funds off, because it got around that she had a man in the house, right? And she was getting benefits. So under the rules of the man in the house, they got taken out. So the kids put in, or her, really don't matter, honestly, put in that, like, this is about the kids, not, they're necessarily being a man. And they kind of put like, well, they basically came to like, they said, well, a man could be in the house. He don't have to necessarily be the father. So it wasn't about bringing men back in the house. It was about getting them benefits while I can still mess around with a married man. And that's it. That's all over the internet. So where did he get this whole thing where first of all, he said black women fought. He took one woman and pluralized it.
Right, exactly.
But majority in part, right? Yeah, majority in part. But a woman could be a women and all this stuff. So wait a minute. So women fought, even though it was one woman, but it was really her kids that did it. Fought to get benefits put back on because she was messing around with a married man. They cut her funds off because she had a man in the house. That she was man in the house. Therefore, there was a man in the house. But it was more about the kids need help because he was not contributing financially. He was just messing around with her. He was a married man with 9 kids.
Right.
So it wasn't about putting him back in the house. She didn't fight to put him back in the house. Where did you get that from, Themis? You made that up. It's not even like it's everywhere. That's everywhere. So he just made up a whole story. He lied. He made up a whole story.
Right, and that's one of the things.
Said it confidently too.
Right, so confidently. And that's another thing that I was trying to come back and get them on, but they wouldn't let me speak. My argument to come back with that is, well, where are all of the other cases where women were fighting? Yeah. You're taking one isolated case and trying to make it a broad thing, like taking
Poor man's divorce.
yeah. Talking poor man's divorce, talking that one isolated case like it was something for everybody, which it wasn't.
They're all using that over the internet. They've been quoting this case about like it's like their counter to Moynihan. It's like, well, there's a black woman that fought. The thing that drives me crazy is they talk about black men not reading at third grade level. They're not reading these studies. I'm not even kidding. Like the whole like one where they was like, oh, men today are alone and single. Black women took that and ran with it and said, oh, look at y'all all alone, ha ha ha. Then you find out they actually read the whole study. It said of all the groups, it's the opposite for black women and black women and black men. Women are actually the more lonely ones.
Yeah.
And then they said, well, that's because we want to be away from y'all. Okay, no, try to switch your argument now.
Yeah, you can't switch it now.
No, I'm serious. It was like you're just not reading Yanni, right? Yanni, Real Talk with Yanni.
Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about. I think I reviewed one of hers the other day.
She had gone and like put up. She was talking to some guy on there, and she said men 18 to 30, 60% of them aren't working. And he said, "Wait, what? That don't make no sense." She said, "Yeah, I got the study right here." Then you find out she read it, and then it said, "No, he read it and said it says first of all, this is a study from a city,
a city."
I don't know why she didn't believe that in the first place. Then she deleted the whole video, and then she put it like in her community tab. Oh, I was confused, and everybody was just coming at me on there, and I don't know. I was like, oh no, come on, y'all got to read these studies. Read it. There's little like blurbs in there and everything. Like y'all take the little, read the first 2 lines, and y'all just run with it.
Yeah,
as long as it puts black men down, that's all that matters.
Right. that is all that matters, man. But I want to bring up this.
Video. Sorry. I just wanted to...
No. You good, man. You good. You absolutely good. I want to bring up this video, and you see the title of it here. Elders explain how the welfare system forced black fathers out of their houses. So we're gonna play some of this and give some commentary on it. Here we go.
My relationship with Caudigo was that of a research assistant. I went to Washington University graduate school in 1964. I was working on a National Institute of Mental Health funded study on social problems in public housing. My role was to study women and girls in Caudigo. I was 20 years old. I'd just gotten out of college. Some of the girls were 18 years old, and I was 2 years older, but yet my life was vastly different. As time passed, I did wonder, would my life have been similar to that of the girls had my parents migrated from Mississippi to St. Louis? Would my opportunities have been different? I guess to put it bluntly, I never saw the people in Caudigo as that different from the lives of poor people I had grown up with in Mississippi, except for one thing: the strong, tightly knit communities and families in which I grew up had begun to shatter around the people who were displaced in a northern city with few supports. And the policy and the housing authority was to move the poorest of the poor, the most dependent families, to Caudigo.
Before we moved into Caudigo, the welfare department came to our home. They talked with my mother about moving into the housing project.
I'm sorry. Let me stop it right quick. Do y'all see this lady, and you see how old she looks? Meaning she doesn't look like she's 80 or 90 years old. She looked like she might be in her maybe 50s, maybe 60s, if that. So still relatively young. So let's keep that in mind.
But the stipulation was that my father could not be with us. They would put us into the housing project only if he left the state. My mother and father discussed it, and they decided that it was best for the 12 children for the father to leave the home. And that's how we got into the project.
The welfare department had a rule that no able-bodied man could be in the house if a woman received aid for dependent children. If a man lost his job, he's looking for work, he still had to leave the home. And there was even a night staff, men who worked for the welfare department, whose job was to go to the homes of the welfare recipients, and they searched to find if there was a man in the home. Sometimes men came back at night to be with their families. Some were found in closets hiding.
I remember vividly my mother telling us, if white people come to the house and ask you guys questions, tell them that your father is not here. Tell them that your father has never been here. You've not seen your father. I trusted her. I knew that there was a reason that we had to do this charade, and I participated in the charade. I sat there and looked those people in the eye and told them with pure earnestness, no, I have not seen my father, and no, my daddy does not live here. And but I knew that I was lying, and that made me wonder, who are these people and how do they have the power to make my mother lie?
We're giving you money. We want to be able to control you. We're giving you money. So we have the right to make stipulations as to how you use it and what you use it for. There were so many restrictions. We couldn't have a telephone. We couldn't have a television.
I know that.
We were really left.
And that's something I didn't know either.
Wow.
Listen, they're controlling you. You can't get, in other words, you can't even know what's going on around you
Yeah.
in the news.
And I read that like they will also come and check on the tidiness of the home.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they, because it's hard to hear a little bit. And then like I just with Isaiah Thomas, the basketball player, Hall of Famer, he talked about this too, where his dad had to stay out the home, could not live in the home to get benefits.
Right.
And it was a lose-lose because like black men were intentionally kept out of the workforce, or at least for higher paying jobs. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. So much we couldn't foresee this, Themis.
Right.
You know, why didn't they foresee this? This had nothing to do with poor man's divorce.
Nothing.
And foreseeing, just because the civil rights, and he said, oh, civil rights movement was led by black men. They were feminists in there or whatever. Mm-hmm. Okay. Black men fought for welfare and integration. So it's like, okay, so since there was a majority of black men in civil rights movement, black men should have foreseen it because they got affected primarily, or what? Like what?
Right. And that's what I was saying in my argument, because you heard what the lady said. You know, my parents talked about it. They thought about it, and they decided that it was best if he left. Yeah, that's a hard decision to make, man.
It is.
That's a really, really hard decision to make. And then on top of that, I mean, just think of we're aware of mental health issues now in 2023, yes. But just imagine the mental toll and the mental stress that it took on those men to not be able to be with their family, to not be able to be with their wife. Some of them even had to go into this realizing, yo, my kids are not gonna know me.
Well, it's very insulting to look to our ancestors and the men who were getting hosed and dogs sicked on them and being in postcards where they're lynched, and from white people sending them to Christmas cards and stuff and burnt and stuff, and Jim Crow laws. Why didn't y'all foresee this whole government assistance thing in the middle of all that other stuff y'all was dealing with.
Right.
It's like we was talking a place of freedom and able to do divorce at any time, do whatever, make a video of this, that, and the third. And we trying to speak to the past, like, why didn't y'all just go to the courts and fight?
Right. Like it was that easy.
When you couldn't use the same bathroom as another person.
Right.
You had to go eat in the back of the kitchen.
Go around the back, and they think that it was. Yeah, they really think it was that easy. But
German Shepherds chewing on your leg.
Right.
Why did y'all foresee all this, this backlash from the government, from Edgar J. Hoover in the mob.
Right. It just doesn't make any sense.
Why didn't we foresee that?
It doesn't make any sense. And I mean, they know the struggle just like everybody else. And that's another thing that makes their argument disingenuous. But let's keep going.
Sir,
I'm finding this interesting.
It is.
The mercy of the system.
In the project, they seem to be strategically planned to create an environment where people felt isolated, where people felt restricted, where people felt, inhuman almost. You're bad. We have to restrain you. We have to curtail what you're doing. It was void of humanity. It was void of character. It seemed more like a prison environment that you have to escape from.
They were treated in some ways like they were prisoners. If we are going to support you and to give you a few measly dollars to live on, then we're going to extract blood from you. You're going to live according to the rules we set. And the rules just happen to be very punitive. There was this whole undertone of morality. They had poor morality, that they were immoral by virtue of the lifestyles they led. Poverty never created immorality. Poverty created want.
When we first moved in the project, we couldn't have a television.
Here it is.
And then my mother got a letter that we could have TV.
Barbie's dream house is a wish come true for both of you. And look.
I was always interested in the family programs with fathers. My Little Margie, where the father was so involved with his daughter.
Margie! Come on in, Dad. Margie, you know I've always tried to be both mother and father to you.
You've been wonderful, Dad.
You remember that little game we always play when you have a problem that you can't tell your father?
But I haven't got any problems.
Now come, tell me what's wrong.
When I looked at those sitcoms, I just felt like this is the way white people live. Because Black people, from my experience, did not live that way. And I never questioned, I never wondered why. I just figured this is how it is.
We have our home here, and if the colored move in and run real estate values down, it's bound to create tension. And you will have, well, I think there are aims as mixed marriages and becoming equal with a white.
Well, I just could not live beside them. I don't feel that they should be oppressed. But I moved here. One of the main reasons was because it was a white community. And that's the only place I intend to live.
You know what's funny? Not funny, but sad. As blatant as they are talking right there, that pretty much is how they talk now. How people are talking now.
Absolutely.
They're basically saying the same thing. Now they'll say that same statement now. We had a good 40 years of passive aggressive talk, but now it's like just all now it's just like what do they call it? Horn something. They like now they're just kind of just saying it now.
Yeah. I forget what the
So
term
I mean,
is.
it ain't even hiding no more. They're saying the same stuff as look. We just don't want them here.
Mm-hmm. But you know one thing about it though, Orange Pill.
What's that?
It's black people that's saying it too.
Yeah, once we get
you know, you don't want to. Some people don't want to live, you know, around certain people because you get out of, you know, living a certain way, and then you don't want to live around it anymore. I mean,
and you're like, well, exactly. You have your own stuff you gotta do. I remember Themis had this thing where like, well, it's all these bad black men out here. What are the good black men doing? They supposed to be going in there and like you're supposed to go in the hoods and go round them up and put them in some concentration camp. It's like, what? I got a wife, I got a family, I got stuff I gotta do and concentrate on the woman and the family I need to protect. I got time to go get a little nug down there.
Facts. Now,
by the way, what are you doing? You all tell me you gotta do something. What are you doing? You ain't got no wife. You ain't got no kids. You talking about what good black men need to be doing? Y'all ain't doing nothing. Y'all good over here. Y'all just ignoring all the stuff going on in the hoods.
Right. And see, and that's
right.
that's another disingenuous part of it. Oh well, if you're so good, why don't you do something about the bad? Well, what do you think we're doing right now? What do you think these podcasts are for? But they want us to go in like Batman and Bruce Wayne and you know, start rounding people up, and that's just not realistic.
As if people like Cynthia G would just all of a sudden have all this respect for us if we did it.
Right. I mean,
and who are y'all that we need to do all that stuff for anyway?
Right.
All y'all bad and disingenuous and bad attitudes over there anyway.
and the thing about it, Orange Pill, is that you heard what the lady said at the end. She said, "This is what we thought it was, and we didn't question it. That's just how it is." And that's what they have in their minds now. They're so close-minded to where
that was powerful, Mr. J.
Yeah, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that's not all I have. That's not. I got more. I got a lot more. But I know you're tired and I'm tired. We don't.
I'm good. I'm good. I wanted to like. I don't know if you want to like break down a little bit of the video or just some points, or you have some other stuff.
Let's bring it up. And let me see. Give me 1 second. Look, I thought I had it on another tab.
So people can kind of see, because we're saying what we saw and what we heard, but people to see, we gotta like say this right here. This is your show. You do your thing.
No, it's fine. I think when we were here last time, I think that we had started to bring it up, but then
I think you went into Kevin Sam's video, and then
then we got sidetracked with,
and then that comment and all that stuff, and just they weren't trying to come up. They wouldn't flash the camera.
Yeah, all of that.
Bobby and all this stuff. Like, oh Jesus.
Okay, let's see here. Right. We want. Yeah. Okay, we got it here.
It started about like at the 3 hour mark, Okay. And I just want to kind of like, if you don't mind, break down real quick, like little points where I'm like, okay, stop there. He was like this. If you want to do it that way,
that's fine, man. Absolutely. Okay. Let's get into it. And I have it queued up here right about the 3 minute mark. So let's do it.
And I'll tell you when to like stop, so I can just kind of break down what kind of happened there.
Okay.
Seems odd then that led by black men, at least in the civil rights movement, there were feminists involved in pushing, but MLK even talked about universal income, which was born out of the welfare debate. And so the idea that black men fought for integration and also welfare, but then say, oh, it took us out of the home. Would you then say it was a lack of foresight, or was it sort of Well, what would you say? I don't want to put words in your
Can
mouth.
you stop it right there?
I would definitely. Yeah. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so he talked about how civil rights movement was
So
led
I
by
don't know
black
what
men.
anyone said.
Oops. Go ahead.
He was talking about the civil rights movement was led by black men. And then he tried to throw in, well, there was some feminists involved. Basically, it basically had like little to do with women. It was the black men leading. And then he switched it to saying black men fought for welfare, like, because it was majority black men in the civil rights movement, that means that it was primarily black men fighting for it, and tried to leave out, like, no, the civil rights movement was for everybody, helping the whole black community. It wasn't about just black men fighting. It wasn't like, majority of this gender is in this group, so therefore that gender should have seen what was going to affect their gender in the whole process. You see, it's like, he's trying to switch it from civil rights movement led by black men to just, there was black men. So he just made it just, black men should have seen it coming.
Right.
So it
It
was
was
just
like a
kind of
foresight.
Huh?
Oh, it was like a foresight.
Was it like a foresight on black men? Well, wait a minute. Were we just saying the civil rights movement? Oh, no. Well, since the civil rights movement was made by majority black men, then, yeah, it's black men. Like, no. The Black Panther movement was probably majority black men, but it's not black men. It's a black community. We're all one.
Right.
It's not just there's 60% black men, 40% black women. So therefore, if there's a decision, like, it's like you're complicating things. You're intentionally complicating things. So it was a very little slip. He put in there. I don't know what to call that, but he switched it to say, black men fought for it. So it was a little sneaky slick there.
It was
and
really
then you
slick.
You said it was like a lack of foresight, but like it was like more so like, first of all, the way you're framing this question is just bad.
Yeah, and then just from the start, I'm thinking this doesn't make any sense.
Say, wait a minute, black men. Then as soon as you start biting for that black men, now you're arguing about black men and their lack of foresight, when he was originally did some sneaky connection where he said, the civil rights movement was led by mostly black men. So now I'm going to switch to talk about how black men, even though it's the civil rights movement, I'm going to sneak it and call it black men, and then say that black men should have seen this coming, when it technically it's the civil rights movement. If we're going to say lack of foresight on black men, it's lack of foresight on civil rights movement.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And for him to try to tie the two in there together like that, and then it was a lot of black men back then that didn't even want integration. They were a lot of us wanted to, hey, y'all stay over there and we're gonna stay over here. We just want the same opportunity. You understand? But let's keep going. Let's bring this back up and see what happened.
All right.
The black people got duped. You understand? They pulled the wool over our eyes, thinking that they were going to do something to help us, while they were changing the laws for black people. Right? They said, okay, you can get this right here, but in order for y'all to get it, there can be no man in the house. I believe, and I said this last night as well, I believe that the government knew that this would destroy black families. I don't think they knew that it would be that successful.
All right. So we fought for welfare to be applied. The government changed it and made it so that the men couldn't be in the home. How do you grapple with the Moynihan report that these women were abandoned before they went?
And see, here it is.
Yes.
How did the women were abandoned before?
That's not in the Moynihan report. That is not in the Moynihan report.
Exactly. Not even a little bit.
A lot of these women.
That's not a quote or nothing with that in there. Where did he get that from?
Well, that's not true, because if you look at the marriage rate prior to 1965, we were married at more than an 80% rate.
Got him.
Women's divorces.
Got him. And
got
then
him.
he goes straight to that's it.
And he responded with the poor man's divorce, and he took a sentence that had 3 different reasons for why things were the way they were. It said matriarchy, the black men's uncertain unemployment because obviously there was intentional unemployment of black men. It wasn't just black men just ain't just lazy. And then it said poor man's divorce, but he took that one little poor man's divorce and kind of made his own overall point to the counter. How is that a counter argument to the 80% divorce, 80% marriage rate?
Exactly, it's not.
Yeah.
And he just, and that's what a lot of them do. They just skate right on past what I just said.
And he's going to say, do you know what the poor man's divorce is? He said describes it as Moynihan describes it as abandonment. First of all, Moynihan did not describe it as abandonment. He keeps calling it abandonment. The Moynihan report said women were abandoned. None of that's in the Moynihan report. Page 34.
Mm-hmm. And I still have yet to get whatever information that he alleged that he was going to send. I still have yet to receive that.
You won't.
Exactly. All right, let's keep going. No, I'm not familiar with it.
The Moynihan report describes this as abandonment. So legally you were married, but there was no one. The man wasn't there.
Now that did happen in some cases, but that was not the majority. It was
Got him.
not the majority.
Got him.
Again, prior to 1965, we were married at an 80% rate.
Yeah, but
Keep going with that 80%.
would reflect an 80% rate, but it doesn't mean that they weren't abandoned. So, like, what I'm saying is, it was enough for it to be cited in the Moynihan report, but we don't know how much it is. So, I wouldn't confidently say it was most, but I can't confidently say it wasn't most either. So, I just don't know. But if you know, how would you know?
Hold on. Can you stop here? He's just confusing me.
Yeah.
So he said, wait, he said marriage on paper will reflect the 80% rate, but it doesn't mean they weren't abandoned. Okay, we could say women divorced at an 80% rate doesn't mean that it filed for divorce, doesn't mean that the man wasn't cheating. I mean, like, it's like, what does that mean? He's like, okay, so it doesn't mean they weren't abandoned, but how are you measuring abandonment? You don't. So it was enough to be cited in the Moynihan report. So was a couple of things you didn't mention. You just have cherry picked poor man's divorce.
Right. Anything, like you said earlier, anything that will make the black man look bad, that's what he cherry picked.
Then he said, how would you know? How would I know? This is your point you try to make.
Exactly.
He said, wait, how would you know how much? So basically, he was saying, how would you know? How would you know that women weren't abandoned in the 80% rate? I don't know. You the one that made the point, and you can't give me a measurement on the poor man's divorce or nothing. But I gotta prove your point. No, how would you know? You the one that made the point.
Exactly. Disingenuous at its finest. And if you look at the overall conclusion of what the thesis is in the Moynihan report, it supports more of what I'm saying and less of what he's saying.
And like I said, and exactly like I said on that same page that he just decided to just overlook everything else on page 34, it talked about from three different people that the matriarchy showed that black women were more interested in their daughters, and it was intentional. Because of one of them spoke about the bitterness towards the men because they weren't measuring up, because men are, their financial status is kind of what makes the man. So, and then just kind of their overall scorn for the man, and they chose intentionally to focus more on their daughters as far as them getting a higher education. He left all that out. That's all on the same page. He got the poor man's divorce that he loved, that he was gonna die on a hill on.
Exactly. And it's just the fact is simple and plain to see. The welfare system destroyed the black family, period. And if it had not been for that, I think that our marriage rate would be a lot better. And if it had not been for the welfare system, I don't think that women would have been looking down on men so much. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, and if he wants to say the black woman that he keep references fought to get the no, she, if there's anything she fought for, she fought to get benefits while still messing around with a married man. So now women can shack up and have a man come in the home as many times as he wants and still get benefits. Congratulations, that's what you got out of that.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't get the man back in the home. He wasn't even the husband. And the husband deceased. She was messing around with he left all that messing around with a married man and all this stuff. Left that out. And even then, they'll probably say, well, he should be talking to her because she married.
Exactly.
So it's like, okay. And he's not the only one keep bringing that same case up to counter the Moynihan report. And they're not reading.
Yeah, he couldn't have read it. Or maybe he
read
did
it.
read it. He just took his highlighter.
He must have heard it. And he's a lawyer. That's a court case. You're not reading.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't about bringing the man back in the home. She wanted him back. No, she wanted those social benefits back because they took him away because she was messing around with a married man.
Right.
Ain't nothing about bringing him back in the house.
I just don't understand how.
I don't know. That's the wildest thing. Even I knew that. I was like, wait, what? That's not what happened in that case.
But we have these kind of disingenuous people practicing law. Wow. All right. Well, let's keep going. Let's see
keep cooking.
Where the conversation takes us. We start getting our elders involved in the conversation. You understand? Because if you look at the data and the statistics, it says that they couldn't be in the home.
Yeah,
a lot of black men had to make the decision to even leave the home.
Well, we'll get to the man out of the home rule because I think that was a decision by the government, and we should actually talk about that because that's super important. But there's a report that framed legislation that point out that black women were left to carry the bag of the family, and even though they were not divorced, he called us the poor man divorce, where.
Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, like, you can still play. I was like, where's the report? He never brought that report up.
You know what? He didn't, did he?
So he said there's a report out that showed that, black women were left to carry the bag of the family. What report is that?
What report is it? And then if the man had to leave the home, then who would be left with the bag?
Yeah.
They're getting assistance, but all of the things that a man would do back then, obviously the women were left with it. Because the men were forced out of the home.
Yeah, and you keep saying, there was a tough decision that the men had to do to be out the home. But he keeps talking, no, these women were abandoned. There's a report out there that I didn't bring, that I don't have on me with no numbers and nothing.
Mm-hmm.
On the black women being left with the bag. Yes, that's what you're saying. You said, they had to make a tough choice to be out there so the women could get that thing. But I don't know why he keeps trying to talk about, they were left, they were abandoned. Like, I got this study out there that I don't have on me that I'm telling you with no numbers that showed that women were left with the bag. Where's the study where the women were left with the bag?
Right. And here's another thing too, Orange Pill. They keep pulling these studies allegedly in these reports or whatever. Some of this stuff, like that Princella uses, she says it's a scientific article or something that she uses to prove that men are incapable of love. Well, guess what? I found a study and a report that said the exact same opposite. So, with as much information as you got out there in 2023, you should be careful about where you're getting your information from, because you can pretty much find a report to support any claim that you want to make.
And that's what I gotta be careful, even if I come with good intent. Like, if I'm looking for information, I gotta make sure I'm looking for information like in good faith, not like I'm looking for something so I can make my argument. And even if I'm going to try to make it fit.
And check the sources, because I don't think they're doing that.
And read the entire article. Don't just read the headline. Black men are animals, and then you say, this article says men are animals, and then you find out it's talking about like everybody except black men or something like that. It's like, you know, this is with the
Right.
lone thing. Oh, y'all lonely, ha ha, y'all ain't got nobody. Well, everybody except black men. Oh,
Right.
we don't want y'all anyway. Okay, whatever.
Right. Man, if you just scroll down to some of the comment section, it was in the last video when we're reviewing the Kevin Samuels portion, there's some lady commented and said that's not the video he was talking about. And I said, well, you know, provide me the link. And you mean you can't see the link? And I said, no, where is it? Oh, well, you can't see the link in the comments, so you just don't want to see. And there was no
You
link.
just don't want to see it. She can't see it either.
Yeah, because you can't put links down in the comment section if you're not a moderator. So
Right.
yeah, she
She
might
will
have
never
tried
be a
to put it.
moderator.
Yeah, never. She might have tried to put it in there, but I'm like, lady, it's not in there right now. All you have to do is go back and look. But yeah, Eugene is exactly right in how you interpret that information as well.
Exactly.
That's
And
very
make sure you know
important.
the full context.
That's
Before
very important.
the full context, but they don't want it. They want to say, you know, leave out everything, and it's almost intentional leaving out the context because, like, wait, it's either you just can't read, or you just like you just did not just finish the whole thing. I don't know what either way is bad,
Right.
or you intentionally not looking.
Right. And then
So
I'm it saddens me because it bothers me how a lot of these people are being manipulated, you know, and
yeah,
then they're being manipulated and they're not going back to fact check the information for themselves. They just know it sounds good.
yeah, and it's sad because you're seeing a group of women where they'll hate a group, but if that group says anything that is like against black men, like you'll have like, well, the, you know, Becky, they want these Beckys and F Becky and all this stuff. And Becky's, look at her, just her cane, she with her cane, and you know, he got his and then all of a sudden Becky say something about like, you know, black men are just trash. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's like, wait a minute, you hated her guts.
Right.
Now the Becky is talking about how, you know, black men are the least married man, and yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Look, had Becky got y'all, it's like, wait a minute, you didn't even like her.
That's the sisterhood for you, man.
Or, you know, or they'll call you a certain thing. Oh, you looking kind of suspicious, but suspicious is all around you. That's your best friend.
Right. All of it is suspect.
That's your cane.
Right,
but
right.
It's a shaming insult for us, but it's great for him.
Oh yeah, and you know that dopamine hit that that he gets from his echo chamber has to be great.
Yeah, and it's weird. It's like, okay, like they had this thing where like they had like, and even they realized like this is actually kind of dumb. They had like thing where they were like had a ranking of like the most attractive YouTube, or like the men they find the most manly or whatever, right? What? And they all realized they were just picking people who agree with them.
Oh wow!
It was like, oh well, because he basically, and it was like, wait, we just picking people who agree with our points.
That's crazy.
We're not picking on everything else but that.
That is
crazy. Ain't going too well.
That is hilarious.
We ain't picking on looks, nothing. They
no
had
character, none of that.
Themis as A. I'm like, really?
Wow.
Because he's just, you know, it's a safe space, and there's another guy, two guys they would not pick at all. And it's not something like, oh, he hate because he want us to pick up. No, I don't want any of y'all. Y'all are just so disagreeable. I ain't even talk about looks.
Disagreeable to a detriment. But let's keep going and see where the conversation goes. I forgot how quickly this picked up.
Oh yeah.
Women, a lot of black women were being abandoned by their partners. And so my question is, if I don't know how many was enough, how do you know that it was a minority when it was included?
Well, if it was included, then it had to have definitely been a significant minority, but still a minority. So
I feel like
Not laughing at
it's
you, him.
a majority, but can we concede that
mm,
neither of us know if it's a majority or minority, but it was enough to be included?
yes,
No.
I can.
All right. So now we get to the man out of the home rule. First of all, do you think that the government should be providing for the family with both men and women there? I feel like that's an easy question. I don't know.
It depends on what the assistance is, what the assistance is, and how long the assistance is for. Right? I don't see a problem with getting assistance from the government as long as there's something in place to get you to a level to where you don't know to where you no longer need the assistance. Right? My point of view is that the assistance never was supposed to be used as a crutch, right?
Got
Because even though
I
the
agree with you there,
assistance
JD.
was there, I mean, we still have people to this day, and I've witnessed this firsthand. People do not want to and will not get a higher paying job, even though they have the ability to, because they don't want to cut off the resources. They don't want to cut off the government assistance, right? So,
you.
my argument is that we need to switch our mindset because,
Is it
again,
on? Is it sorry? Is it on mindset or is the system fundamentally flawed?
again, disingenuous, right there, right?
Disingenuous at best.
Because again, he didn't deny the fact that it's people that don't want to come off the assistance,
Yeah.
right? But he's blaming it on the government and not the mindset.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm
Which
saying?
it could be both, but he just doesn't want to go with the whole, oh, don't blame it on them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Put it all on the government.
Right, and then like the lady said, we just thought that that's how it was, and we didn't question it. You
Yeah.
understand? But if you take if you get to a certain age, a certain level, and you say, well, you know what, I don't want this anymore. This isn't what I want for my life. Then your mindset starts to shift, and you start trying to figure out ways to get out of the situation you're in. Everything, you have to have that mind to go forward, to get a better job, to get
Right.
a better education. It all starts with your mind.
Yes.
You understand? But again, that's where he starts to cut me off. He won't let me finish the thought. But let's see where this part goes. I think it's both.
All right.
I think it's
So
both because
so wait. On the piece,
he didn't expect somebody that he didn't expect to be talking to somebody that has a balanced perspective and somebody that's just not dead set on red pill talking points.
Yeah, and you made a good point. Say I think it's both.
Yeah,
And he tries to tie you down to like manosphere, like try to get you to say something slightly manosphere or something
right.
quote unquote misogynistic. And like I said, we've had a discussion with him where like I told him like, well, no, we'll talk about it later. I don't want to keep drifting off, but basically he tried to basically get me to kind of say a man like a kind of misogynistic manosphere talking point.
Mm-hmm.
So he could be like, look at you, you're trying to control women and your wife and all this stuff. And I wasn't biting, but he still was trying to say, even though you're not saying it, I don't believe you because something. It's like, okay.
Wow.
It's like, even if I'm not saying it, you're still like, no.
Yeah, nah.
But yeah, it was just to go back. He said, my question is if I don't know how many was enough in regards to I guess abandonment or whatever.
Yeah.
How do you know if it was minority when it was included in? Well, first of all, it's your point. This is your point. You're saying even though I can't prove how much abandonment it was, can we just agree it might have been like a decent amount?
Yeah. So it was
It's
like
like,
I can't.
well,
This is what he was
this
saying.
is your point. I mean, I don't
Right.
know.
He was saying, I don't know how much it is, so it's impossible for you to know how much it was.
Yeah, and then remember he's like, then he said, how would you know how much it is? Well, I don't know. This is your point. You
Right.
explain it. You're the one that bring up poor man's divorce and abandonment, and you can't give me no numbers or no report or nothing. And you're like, well, they said it in there. So they also said matriarchy. How you don't want to talk about that? How much was that affected and stuff?
Right.
That was on that same sentence of reasons why things were going bad. Matriarchy, unintentional low employment for black men. You just decide to just out of those three things talk about poor man's divorce, but yet you don't have any numbers on it.
None whatsoever.
So it's, and then like I said later on, he's going to talk about like, oh, not trying to be condescending, but if you don't know, because I guess you didn't know the state by state how many. He's like, oh, I'm trying to be condescending. If you don't know how many, then I wouldn't say it. But you didn't know that. You didn't know the abandonment stuff. You don't know the numbers on that. So wait a minute, he got to know numbers and you don't.
Again, disingenuous, and people wonder why I put that on the thumbnail. Do you have another timestamp that we can skip ahead to? Or?
Yes, sir. I want to the good father thing. 313.
Let's go right here.
And after that one, just the 322.
Okay.
One, but yeah, 313.
Actually, that people weren't that good at sort of thinking about their position in relation to children creating families, right? And maybe they are. Maybe we shouldn't care about how poor you are or rich you are to create families, but the government should step in and take care of it if you're poor. Like, is that where you're at, or are you more of like the government can say, okay, if I'm helping you, I'm not going to also pay for the man and pay for y'all to be together to potentially create more children in an already bad situation.
I see. I see where you're going with this. I see what your point is. So to not pay for the man, I think I think the whole thing was unfair because again, my channel is
Wait, you said to not pay for the man. You think that was unfair? Why?
because the black men were struggling as well, right? So why make the whole family suffer by not having the father there? We already see what not having fathers in the home has done to our community, right?
Is it
So that's why
wait, it's not just having a father, right? It's having good
there it
fathers.
is.
So like just having a father isn't good. Like if you have Ti in the home, for example, I don't know if you like Ti. I apologize if you do, but we saw the result with King, for example. Like having
Can you
a
stop
man and
right there
any
real quick,
other man
Yeah,
is
please? Sorry.
yeah, disingenuous.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So there's a couple crazy things in there. So, you know, you brought up good points like having black women were you said you make sure you put black men were struggling. It wasn't just black women struggling by themselves and abandoned. You said why make the whole family suffer by not having the father there, which was a good point. And then for some reason he had to put a straw man in there about like, oh, it's not just having a father, you gotta have a good father.
Right, as if to say the
Okay.
fathers weren't the majority of the fathers weren't good back then.
But at the same time, how do you measure a good father back then? What's a good
Exactly.
what's bringing up a point but won't define it? What's a good father? Like I had this argument with him about loyalty in a marriage, right? And I talked about how for me, loyalty starts at the beginning when you both come in there with your own resources, going in there to build each other up. You come in there to you bring your resources, hers, your money, you put it together to create and build a family. Right. And then you get married, legally binding. That is your first show of loyalty to me. And he said, well, that only happens in good marriages. I'm like, what? How do you? I was like, good marriages. I said, who said anything about good marriages? Then he tried to say, oh, you're just trying to advocate for people just to be in any marriage is a good marriage. No, I did not say that.
Wow.
And I'm like, wait a minute. How do you know at the beginning it's a good marriage? And what is a good marriage? What's a good marriage? What's a good black man? What's a good husband? What's a good father? It's all these kind of like these phrases, but it's like, and it's like, what are you talking about? Like, it's not just having a father, but a good father. How, am I going to be a good husband the whole marriage, or are they going to have times where I'm slacking or I'm messing up somewhere?
Mm-hmm.
What defines a good father and a good husband and a good marriage?
Right.
At the beginning or throughout, you can't measure that. There's no such thing, in my opinion. There's times, but you can't say nobody's had a good. We could have a senator that's been a senator for 30 years. Has he been a good senator the whole time?
Exactly. And some people would say, oh, he is a good senator. And some people would say, oh, he was a horrible senator.
Yeah,
it's all
because
subjective.
of this one thing or something like that.
Right. It's all subjective.
I never forgave him for this. So what's a good father?
Mm-hmm.
Not just any father, but a good father. Right. As if we advocate, and then he kind of like, you kind of went like, he kind of made you kind of like want to like defend the whole like, oh, I'm not advocating for like abusive fathers and all that stuff. But it's like, well, why would I want anything but a father that is, good or whatever? But like, we're not saying not just, you didn't even say just having a father in there is good enough. It's like, you're phrasing it that way, but that's not what I said. Exactly. You just got to say something. Got to correct something.
Right. I mean, he realized that he was talking to somebody that had some sense. So
you're a whole husband. I don't know if you have kids, but you're a father, married pastor. He trying to school you on. Oh no, make sure you say it's a good father, not just any father. Like, who are you?
Exactly.
Not a father, not a husband, not anything, not no girlfriend, no nothing. Just talking to women all day.
Mm-hmm.
About and who are you, by the way? Theorizing everything with no experiences and raising kids and nothing. Trying to tell me, oh, you need to make sure you say good father, not father. You're not nothing. Like not to like in that way of those experiences, not just as a person, not as a person.
Right. I get exactly what you're saying. And another thing too is
respect to the elders. Seriously,
it's like why in the world would anybody even be advocating for just any old father to be in the home?
Yeah,
I mean, come on. I got a mother. I got sisters. I got daughters. You think I would want them to just be with anybody just to be able to say that they got a man? No, not at all. But
the 322, and that's it. That's the one where that's the one where he said the custody of children. I want everybody to see this gaslighting. Okay, 322.
Let's go here.
Do not quote me. In 1968, and the manner that the home rule was ruled unconstitutional. So it existed in America for I'll give it 5 years. So it existed for 5 years, and so when I hear that the manner that the home rule is the catalyst for the breakdown in the Black family, it doesn't make sense to me, because today Black men and men can get welfare in the form of food stamp, for example.
Wow. Yeah, only if you have custody of the children.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, but see that's what I'm saying. Only if you have custody.
He said, "Oh, oops, yeah."
Mm-hmm. And you want to know how I know that? Because I have a friend, used to be a really good friend of mine, but he was having some issues, and I was trying to find him some help, get him some shelter. He was homeless. I had kids, and I every shelter that I called, oh, I'm sorry, we don't accept men. Only if he's homeless and the kids are with him. That's the only way. men don't have the same kind of resources that women do, and in some instances, rightfully so. But if you got men don't have the same kind of benefit of all of the assistance as women have. That's all I'm saying.
It's fun, and it's funny because he actually kind of admitted that he knew that because he said, "Oh, black men can earn the same amount of benefits as black women can," and he knows this because if they have custody of the kids, but he didn't say that, hoping you didn't know that. Then when you said it, he didn't argue against it. Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Oh yeah, but you didn't mention that, so you made sure you intentionally didn't say that, hoping you didn't know that. You're like, oh wow, I didn't know that. I guess I can't say nothing about that. Like, no, you knew that, and he didn't say nothing to it. And that's when he goes into this gaslighting a little bit.
Right. And then which brings another issue to mind is why would you want to try to say something to your audience that's not true? And, oh, we're going to see if he knows this. And if he doesn't know this, we're going to use it against him as one of our talking points.
But if he does that all the time.
Yeah, but if he does know it, we're just gonna skip on past.
Yeah. So we had when we were talking about majority and part. He said something about like he tried to play me, and I know politics. He said, "Oh, because when I say there are nine Supreme Court judges voted on something, or am I saying all or most?" And I was like, "That's so weird. We weren't even talking about all or most." But I know there's always 9 Supreme Court judges. I said all. He said okay. And he moved on the next thing. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Now if I said most and not all, what would he have said then? Well, actually, there's 9 in total. Ha ha ha.
Right.
It's like you're trying to. It's like, dude, are we? This is a conversation or just some type of battle of the wits to you? Like, are we having real dialogue? Because I've seen we had real dialogue with people that he agrees with more, but he wants to be intellectually dishonest with us.
Right.
And witty and try to own us and try to sun us.
Yeah, he wants us to look bad. That's all.
Yeah, and he tries. Oh no, I'm here in good faith, and if you can just change my mind. But you knew that men only got benefits. If they have kids, I didn't think you knew that. Let me try to gaslight you real quick. That's my only option.
Which is so not right, which is so not fair, which is once again so disingenuous. So disingenuous, man.
Yeah.
But
and that's what he said. Do you think black men want custody of their kids after that? So yeah.
So you know what? I do want to go a little bit further.
Yeah, so everybody can see that, like blatantly.
Do you think black men want custody of their children?
If they're up here.
Did they hear that first part that led up to that? Where it said how many black men have custody of cars? I don't know if that they caught that part. So we can lead up to why he said that.
Did that come up yet?
I don't think that came up. I think we ran right into that part where he said that. So everybody can see what led to the gaslighting thing he just said.
So I need to pull it back a little bit?
A little bit, maybe about 30 seconds.
Okay.
Maybe 20.
Where we at right here? Okay. Let's try this.
Because they're saying, it's like Rap said, only if they have custody.
Girl.
Yep.
You picking up what I'm putting down? Ruby Bridges is my mother's age. Now. So to say that black men would have been able to go to the Supreme Court and ask for fair treatment when no, absolutely not.
I don't know how to do this.
Wait, did we go past that part?
I think I did.
Because
I'm at the 3 minute 22 seconds and like 33. That's when he started talking about that whole benefits. 322 and then like 33.
In 1968.
And that could be like the final thing, you know.
But the courts usually default custody to the mother, regardless if the father wants custody or not.
Do you know when custody is challenged by men, what happens?
Is this it?
Is it at 322-33? Where you at?
I'm at 323.11.
Yeah, just go back 322. Just go 322, so it can kind of start from that.
Okay.
Existed in America for, I'll give it 5 years. So it existed for 5 years. And so when I hear that the man under the home rule is the catalyst for the breakdown in the black family, it doesn't make sense to me because today black men and men can get wealthier in the form of food stamp, for example.
Yeah, only if you have custody of the children.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah, see
Oops.
that's what I'm saying. Only if you have custody of the children. How many black men have custody of the children?
Do you think black men want custody of their children?
Gaslight.
If they're up here, yeah. But
Gaslight. There it
usually,
is, y'all.
right, default custody to the mother,
Gaslight.
regardless if the father wants custody or not.
Do you know when custody is challenged by men, what happens? Because the likelihood of getting the child tremendously increases to over 60% when men challenge for custody.
Yeah, but the men have
Show me the study.
The men have to challenge for custody. So how do you know men want their children if they're not challenging or fighting
so
for their
so
children?
so so here's the thing. It is a known fact that the court system in regards to child support is totally stacked against men. And I don't know if you've ever heard of the lead attorney, but he's a 20-year divorce.
This is where it got off the rails.
And
Yeah,
still as ignorant as they come. He is telling people not to get married. Is he telling men not to
that's
sleep?
not true.
He
That,
literally, no, he said it. I've played it multiple times on this channel. He was in a debate with Ruslan, and he said he advised men not to get married. He said
so,
verbatim.
yeah,
He
he said
won't give the
that
context. He's
verbatim
just like,
again. So here's the thing: it's not in men's best interest these days, in some cases, to fight for the custody because the courts are absolutely stacked against them.
Why would you say that? Why would you
And
continue to wait? Why would you continue to say that after I told you that the stat says that when they do, they win? In most custody cases, women get custody, men do not challenge, and it's not an award of the case. 90% of the time, the judge is not involved. There's a settlement
not
agreement, men
true.
agree
show me this study.
to
He
the
keeps
case.
saying a lot of stuff.
Right.
Sometimes he has numbers, sometimes he doesn't.
Because a lot of the times when you got to look at what it costs, what it takes to fight
$500 an hour.
in a system
Discount.
that's stacked against you already. You understand? So instead of men running the bank dry, running up their credit cards to pay for an attorney, and they still might not win, it's a good chance that they don't win custody. They just rather say, you know what, well, I'll just give custody and I'll take my 50-50 or visitations or whatever. Now, what the
So
leader,
wait, I have a question on that. How can women afford it but men can't?
That's disingenuous
because
as hell.
most of the time,
That was the most. That might be the most disingenuous thing
a lot
ever
of the
said on
times,
here.
exactly.
How can black women afford it or women afford it, but Ben can't? He knows that dependent spouse clause in there. He's a lawyer.
And then to go even further than that, if women are so strong and independent and getting the bag and doing so much better, then why wouldn't they be able to afford it?
Yeah, my boy is $25,000 in the hole. You think his ex-wife is in $25,000 hole too? No,
absolutely not. Absolutely not. The man has to
Oh,
pay for the
how
woman.
can women afford it and men can't?
That's not true, and that's not most of the time.
It happens more than what you think. Right?
Nope, it
And
doesn't
then
actually.
and
No,
then
it
if he,
doesn't. The lead attorney
Nope. I got no information on that.
and he's lying. I know this as a fact that he's lying about this. He used what's that guy's name? The case that just Tyree's case, What he failed to tell you all, or maybe he did and people didn't hear, is that the agreement that the attorneys there would be included was in their agreement about whether or not there would be a contested sort of divorce.
So, Mr. JD,
And
Mistake they claim.
that part is not true either.
did he use that case, or did he use his 20 years experience as a divorce attorney?
Exactly.
I mean, with no 20 years defense attorney, he's wrong, but you're right. Based off of what? You got no experience in that. As far as I know, you never tell me what kind of lawyer you are, but I know it's not a divorce attorney because God knows you would talk about that. Everything is theoretical. And he's like, well, why is he wrong? Because he used one case, but he's a 20-year divorce attorney. What are you? I'm just a guy on the internet. Okay. And and lead attorney, you see him a lot. He be schooling a lot of people who think they know law. And granted, Themis is a lawyer, but people like, he even calls them internet lawyers who try to come in there and tell them, no, this is how it is. This is how it's like, yo, y'all don't know what y'all talking about. Y'all not in that life. He schooled the people. He schooled that blue-haired guy, Destiny.
Yep.
The Destiny. You're not a lawyer, dude. You don't know what you're talking about. You're talking about your program data. He schooled Hassan, Vaslan.
Yeah, I saw that. Yep.
He went on Themis' channel too, and he actually made some real good points, but he didn't. That Themis didn't say nothing to.
Well, he couldn't say anything to it.
Yeah. And it's funny because his audience, right? They're like, ooh, he's on here. Yay. As soon as he started talking about how, when I grew up, when my parents divorced, I found that my mom was actually the crazy one. My dad remarried and everything. My mom was the one that was the problem. I actually figured out. He's manosphere. Get him out of here.
Right.
That was his audience that said that. And he was just tight-lipped. Like, he wanted to say something, but, if we was on there,
No, you better believe it, man. And see, I mean, he was probably tight-lipped because he didn't have an argument. And then, I was trying to be, as respectful as possible, good faith
mutual,
and
but okay.
all of that stuff. It definitely was not mutual, And, even when he had hit me up, man, and invited me on, he said that he didn't watch any of my content then. And I was like, I wonder how this is gonna work. But I did it anyway, and we found out.
Bait and switch.
Yeah, bait and switch. Good old bait and switch, man. But
good old bait and switch.
Yeah, but we'll see what transpires, and
he probably might do a review on this video and the other one.
Oh, it's fine.
The men's is speaking. The men's.
There you go. But it's all good because I welcome the challenge. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. Because one thing about me is I'm really, really genuine about seeing our community do better and thrive. So if I can help, just even if it's just a handful of people,
yes,
then it makes everything worth it, man. But Orange Pill, I thank you so much for joining me on these two streams, brother. You can come back anytime you get ready, man. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for your support. And we're gonna go ahead and get ready to get up out of here, man.
Absolutely.
You got any last thoughts?
Yes, sir. And I just want our community coming to good faith. Like me and my wife were married. I'm an advocate for marriage. Like I said, I just like you, and I think if we both black men come in good faith and not, with this already, I'm going to just like try to argue my points and filibuster and stuff. And like, without we got to come to compromise at some point.
Right.
We can't just like constantly fight. That's why I tried to figure what is the end game of his channel, Themis channel. Because all we're doing is just like, when we try to get black men and black women together, it's all just about, we just need to agree with black women on everything.
Right.
And F what we got to say. By B, you can't even get in to do a camera flash. So this is like, we can't get past little stuff like that in majority and part. So, I mean, we gotta at some point, we gotta like come together and start hearing from actual married men like ourselves who I'm trying to good faith. But like I said, you guys were no. You're a narcissist, and you know, I saw your community tab, Mr. JD, and you was looking kind of suspicious looking. You know?
Right.
I mean, come on, y'all. The shaming and insult.
Yeah,
are y'all done? My thing is this: are y'all done yet?
Right.
Come on, ladies. And Themis and them.
The gender war needs to be over, man.
Yeah,
it really does. It just needs to be over. But shout out to the lovely.
But I appreciate
Gabrielle.
your time too.
Yeah, man, I appreciate your time.
This is good. Like, you know, this was great. I like how we broke down the videos. We watched that. That was an amazing video that you had up with the. I did not know that. I thought, okay, man out the house. And it was like, oh, they was cracking down the house. They was coming in the middle of the night. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, man.
Wow.
It was a lot more serious than what people thought, man. But you know, and it's done long-lasting damage to our community. It absolutely has, man. But shout out to the lovely Gabrielle White.
That's right. Shout out to your wife, you know.
Yes. Thankful Black men are pushing for family and community,
absolutely,
despite being torn down at every turn. Great discussion.
I know I got to become a nurse practitioner because they cracking down. Ain't right, man. Practitioner, as if they can get a nurse, period.
Right. And then guess what? Once you become a nurse practitioner, they're going to move the goalposts. Well, you're not a doctor.
Yeah, exactly. You ain't doctor. You ain't. They would actually tell me, I'd be scared if I was his patient. You think I'm about to pull the plug? Like, what do you think?
Wow.
They was like, oh, he might hurt black women. I hate to be his patient. He's harmful to black women.
Yeah,
I don't even know what. Okay.
Just because that's something that they would do. If they
were or just trying to say, what about like some super villain like Joker in the nursing outfit?
Right.
I don't know.
But that's what's up, man. Orange Pill, again, man, thank you so much for coming. You could come back anytime, brother. We're gonna get ready to get up out of here, y'all.
Sir. Yeah, get some sleep, get that headache. I don't want you to stay up too late, that headache and stuff. I want you make sure you're doing good over there, sir. I didn't mean to tell a personal about that, but yeah.
No, you good, man.
I'm glad you feeling better.
Well, I appreciate an Orange Pill, man, and I'm glad to have a newfound brother in you, man. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and drop you out and do this outro, and we'll do your outro, man. All right.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, bud. All right, y'all. There you have it. Another live stream. Thank y'all so much for joining us. I can't express how much I've enjoyed this last couple nights. And we're going to keep bringing some fire content, y'all. And we're going to keep learning and learning some more while we're having a little bit of fun doing it, y'all. But I don't care where you are. I don't care what time zone you're in. I don't care what part of the world you're in, y'all. It is always summertime in NY, y'all. Peace.
This is too smooth. I honestly didn't really want to say anything on this, but black, white too. No turning to no controversy. It's my boo. I can make $250,000 off a haiku, and I can make another quarter off it times 2. If it's money on the table, I'll be on it like Bobby or Evan. You peep the aesthetic. It's hard to forget it. I hear you talking, but you're hardly right. I'm the voice of your prototype. Summertime in NY. Summertime in NY. Drop tops out. I'm talking 6 a.m. tea times, 18 with the mayor talking land base. I waited for it, gotta get mine. Snag a seat up at the table if my man came. Headed to a meeting, we're familiar with no briefcase. Just my mind in a free state. I got a plan through a vision, but it takes time. I'ma make mine. Summertime in NY. Now I run the front, call the shots, make the deals, know the deal, know what's up. Too much for the books and I put it in a tuck. Too much for the tuck, then I give it to my love. Once I make $1 million, man, $1 million won't be enough. Watch me fake the struggle while I get it off the hush. Now it's jet blue miles, Rolex dials, frowns turn to smiles. Summertime in NY,